Closet Cast. To my left, I've got
Danny Foster.
And his left.
And this is Justin.
And I'm Peyton. Welcome to another fun, fantastically awesome edition. This is episode 8 now, guys.
Not a gay podcast.
Yeah, might as well get it out there at the front, when we're coming in the door.
Yeah. Let's get it out there and just kind of remind people out there, today we are answering questions that were posted with the hashtag CCPodcast. After I posted that, I realized there is a podcast that uses that hashtag for their actual podcast itself. So for our next segment of that, it'll be Ask the Closet. Hashtag Ask the Closet. That'll be our permanent one from here on out. Now, guys, we've had quite a bit happen in the last week since we've recorded. One thing that I wanted to open with today is Westworld.
I've only seen the first episode, but it sucked me in like Game of Thrones' first episode did.
Yeah, I agree. It's a very interesting take. You can't say it's an original concept, but it's a remake of an
old book.
And an old movie too.
Yeah.
And did you know, I was doing some research on this, it's not even the first TV show. There was a failed TV show in 1980 called Beyond Westworld. It only lasted 3 episodes.
Wow.
So, I'm kind of curious to check it out, though.
That's HBO for you. Failed TV shows made successful.
But I mean, it's an idea that I didn't know anything about. I didn't know about this movie or the book. I never heard of it.
Me neither.
But go figure. It's another story by Michael Crichton about a theme park gone wrong. I mean, he also wrote Jurassic Park.
Yeah, he did Jurassic Park.
Do you think he just had like a bad experience at a Six Flags or something?
I think maybe. There's no telling.
I've wondered this myself. Did he go to Disney World or Chuck E. Cheese when the animatronics came out?
That's something just very awful and horrendous. He got raped by Chuck E. Cheese or something.
He got raped by the drumming raccoon. He accidentally stuck his drumstick up his ass.
I don't know, but I am a fan of Westworld, man. That show.
We're going to give you guys a fair warning now for spoilers because we're going to be covering a few things today. And Westworld is probably going to, at least the first episode will get spoiled up a little bit for you.
Yeah.
Okay, So I watched Westworld before you guys did. Episode 3 came out on Sunday.
Haven't seen it yet.
To watch that episode, I stayed up till like 2 a.m. to be able to watch it.
I literally just finished episode 2 before you got here. So.
Oh, man. Episode 3, I won't spoil for you guys because it's where everything starts to kind of take a turn toward what the story is developing into. And I don't want to spoil something, but prepare yourself for a scene with Anthony Hopkins where he gets mad at a technician for some reason. I'm not going to let in why.
Yeah.
But his performance in that 10 seconds... masterpiece, man. He just pulled it off. So much emotion. It was terrific.
Well, okay, this isn't so much a spoiler, but it also happened in episode 2. But how about James Marsden dying all the fucking time?
Yes.
He dies again in episode 2. Does he die in 3?
Maybe.
Yeah, fucking Cyclops.
Oh, right.
He just
God,
keeps dying.
It is Cyclops.
Yeah.
I didn't make
just
that connection.
Yeah.
No, when the episode started on episode 1, I was like, oh, well, he's been going to that park for a while. She's like, oh, I'm so happy to see you. What's her fucking name? What is her name?
Dolores.
Dolores.
Yeah,
Dolores is like, oh, I'm so happy to see you. You came back. He's like, of course I would. I told you I would.
Yeah.
And then, you're like, oh, well, he's been going there for a while. And then you get to the farmhouse, and fucking Trevor from GTA has just murdered her father.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that was
Ed
Trevor
Harris
from GTA.
Well, no, not Ed Harris. The guy before that that's standing over her dad with the milk, asking him, is that all you there? Is that all you have there?
That's so fucked up. He killed him with milk, man. So fucked up.
And then, the other guy, fucking Cyclops, shoots all those guys down, and then Ed Harris shows up, and oh, there's another person. He's trying to get that girl, and then he tries to shoot him, and I was like, oh, fuck, he's not even real. Why did I get attached to him so quickly?
I know, right? I'm like, well, who is real? I don't even fucking know.
How about the tourist that wiped out the fucking Mexican bandit dude?
Oh, no, that was
the technician dude, the writer dude's all excited because he's going to have this epic speech, And then that fucking touristy jackass walks up behind him. Wow.
And it wasn't even like they just built it up for like 5 seconds before
No.
that. It was throughout the
It was
show.
through the
He's
episode.
like, I'm so proud of this. I'm so proud of this. Wait till you hear it. Guys, just listen. And then bam.
Did you know that it's Jonathan Nolan who created this show? Chris Nolan's brother?
Yes, I was
Really?
reading
Yeah.
the credits. I was like, holy shit, that's Chris Nolan's brother.
Which he had a lot to
No
do
idea.
with a lot of Nolan's other
he
movies and
worked
stuff
on a
too.
lot of stuff.
So, I mean, the
I-
brother of one of our greatest visionaries, you know, doing the show.
I just thought of something because you said brother of Nolan. Ted Raimi is in Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Yeah, he was in this last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays his friend, the bartender.
Yeah, the bartender. That's crazy.
And then he makes a super fucked up drink to.
But
he's
let's
trying to
go
find
back
his
to
car.
let's
Yeah,
go
yeah.
back to Westworld.
No, yeah,
we'll save that for later.
Next episode. Next episode.
But,
Halloween.
oh, yeah.
Halloween
Our
episode.
next
We'll talk more
episode-
about that.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
We definitely have to. We got to prepare something good for our Halloween episode, which will be next week. Tune in for that.
Yeah.
But do you guys feel like Westworld will be able to replace Game of Thrones whenever it's gone in 2 seasons?
Well,
Based off of just the first episode, it immediately pulled me in.
Now, what about a
Well-
cold you went?
I mean, just like I immediately got attached to that guy that plays Cyclops' character. For some reason, I was just
James
like, oh,
Marsden.
well, yeah, James
which,
Marsden.
ironically, is kind of similar to John Marsden.
Yeah, I know. That's
Yeah.
why I was confused when you said it.
Yeah.
And, like, I got attached to him for some reason, and then, like, it jumps back out of the world after that first big death scene, and you see the technicians, and you see Anthony Hopkins for the first time, and just seeing him in a TV role, that
Yeah.
kind of pulled me in, because he's one of my favorite actors of all time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on.
Well, seeing the rumors I was reading whenever Hannibal was coming out was that it was supposed to be told from Anthony Hopkins' Hannibal perspective as an older man in prison. And like he's been caught in another country. And he turned down the role. Now, that's not confirmed, but that was something that I was hearing rumor mill on the internet, which is always true, by the
Yeah,
way. You always
yeah,
have to
everything's
listen to
true on the
everything
internet.
on the internet. I mean, including what you put into WebMD. Because we
Yeah,
all have
because it's
cancer.
always AIDS or cancer.
Always.
Yeah. Now, as far as taking that coveted Game of Thrones spot, I mean, that's just kind of how
Well,
HBO
I mean-
always does, though. Cause,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they
'Cause it
always
started
have
like-
something
yeah.
amazing to replace it.
Well, like there was True Blood, you know, and then Game of Thrones came out like the last couple of seasons of True Blood, and
Yeah.
then True Blood's over, and then now Game of Thrones is the show everyone is talking about.
But, you know, I think that's what I like most about HBO is they end their freaking shows.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
let them drag off too
Yeah.
long.
So I love Game of Thrones. I'm probably one of the biggest Game of Thrones fans I know. But when I do it, I didn't want to see that get drug out for 20 seasons.
Yeah,
no,
no.
I mean, it could have been extended to an 8th season just to spread everything
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, but I think
But
it's
I mean, with
Or-
George R. R. Martin getting to the age he is, are we even going to see the last 2 books?
Yeah.
So it's kind of better because we might actually get to see what would happen in the books.
Yeah, and he's already give them the entire plot
Yeah.
line for how it ends. And
Yeah.
if they would have even just taken these next 2 seasons and just made them full-length
Yeah.
seasons, then I would have been. I think I'd be more happy with that than having
Well,
was it
we
7
still-
episodes and then 5.
Yeah, we still don't know. Well, it's 6, I think.
Is it 5? Is it 7?
It's 7 and 6.
Yeah.
But I still feel like, maybe give us a full season. I mean, it's been around that long. It's an amazing show. It gets views.
Oh,
One of
absolutely.
the most pirated shows ever.
yeah, everyone.
Sadly,
and their uncles
I mean,
watch
just-
Game of Thrones.
I mean, it's a fantastic show. But it has to end.
Oh, it
Yeah,
The
everything
story
does.
ends.
And
yeah,
it-
exactly.
And it needs to.
It
Like,
does.
You need that closure, whether or not it's a closure you don't want or anything, which is with Westworld, because apparently in this world there's multiple different kinds of theme parks.
Oh,
There's
really?
future world, there's a medieval world.
Mm-hmm.
Someone told me that there's Victorian world. So each season
mean, they
can
could
focus on a different
Jump
world.
to
Well,
different areas.
What I immediately thought, and they also touch on it in the show, I'm like, well, why even create this theme park? If I had that technology, I would just pimp my robot, hookers out.
But that's what they do in the park.
That's what they do. Yeah, I'm like, okay, well, they got it covered. But
There's here coming up in episode 2, I believe it is. You guys will run into. I don't know. It was episode 2 where the guys are coming into the town, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you can go on adventures, or you can fuck whoever you want."
yeah,
Yeah.
that's episode 2. That starts off that one dude. He's in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He was in fucking, I don't know, that weird looking little motherfucker. I can't
That'd be the
remember
way.
what-
That'd be the way to talk.
No,
your
no,
life into a
he's
threesome
he was
right
plays
there.
one of the McPoyles.
No.
He's been in all sorts of movies.
Oh, he's been in.
Um,
That's Philadelphia. I love.
That's
his
what I
role
always
in
remember
that.
from. He always wears the bathrobe and drinks.
Yeah,
God.
and drinks milk.
Fucking.
Milk was a bad
I gotta look
choice.
up his name.
We were
'cause
taking a shower
it's gonna drive me fucking
together.
nuts.
Well, yeah.
I can't think of what else he's been in. Oh,
He's been in a lot of things too.
yeah, he's been in all sorts of shit.
He was a perfect cast for that role though. Like that guy, he's got a good creepy factor to him whenever he plays a creepy character, but he's got a good innocent factor to him.
This guy
as well.
Oh god,
Yeah.
yeah, I know exactly who
He's
you're
just
talking
one of
about
those character
What's his
actors. Jimmy Simpson.
now. Yeah.
You know, he's been in Sunny. He was in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I remember him from Date Night. White House Down, Zodiac. I mean, all sorts of shit.
He's been in a lot of movies. He's one of those actors.
He's just one of those character guys that you see. He's never the lead, but, you know,
I was happy to
he's
see
recognizable.
him,
Yeah, no, I was like, hey, I know that guy.
He's one of those actors, every time I see him in something, I know he's going to be able to pull off the role.
I don't know who the other guy was, his friend, you know, that was, you know, having that fucking orgy with all those.
Well, that's what I was saying. Man, you imagine, be like, honey, we're paying $45,000 for this day. Well, let's just have a threesome. It's just a robot. It won't matter.
It's just a robot.
Yeah.
They can't get attached to us.
Yeah, that'd be what
It's
I
like,
do.
well, they do, but they'll forget that by tomorrow.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And then tomorrow we'll come in and be gunslingers.
Yeah.
God damn, Ed Harris.
Oh, he said you're good at
Great villain.
So good for that role. But is he a
Anti-hero,
villain?
whatever. That's the question.
Yeah,
That's
we don't
I
know.
mean, he seems like a villain because of his actions at the beginning of the episode, but
But his actions
I
are
mean-
only against androids.
well,
Yeah.
But
mean-
that's still fucking straight up evil.
Is it? Because
Yeah.
they're androids.
It doesn't matter. You gotta have that moral.
Yeah, then that's what this show.
standpoint.
That's
Yeah,
what this show
I mean,
presents.
that-
Like, who is the real villain?
Yeah.
You know, it's playing God. You know, that's
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah,
that's,
it really is.
And that's the question. It's like, are we the bad guys, the humans?
Well,
And
that's
are these
the
androids?
crazy part in the first episode when Dolores' dad starts having the twitch or whatever, and they take him,
Yeah.
and Anthony Hopkins talks to him. He starts quoting Shakespeare. He says, "You were all the demons, and I'm here for my swift. I'm here for retribution and all this other stuff." He's quoting Shakespeare, but he's sounding so aggressive about it and talking about how we're the monsters
Yeah.
because of what we've done and everything else. And then
Yeah.
the guy who ran with the guy who played Trevor in GTA ended up killing him because in all the scenarios he's in with that guy, they turn on each other and he dies. So for some reason he had the memory of that, and then he killed the other guy because he knew he was going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, it's one of those things where it's like it's skewed my moral compass toward the characters in the show, because it's like I'm okay with them all getting murdered and butchered. I'm okay with that. But the minute they mentioned rape, I was like, oh, that's just wrong.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah,
I'm
but
saying
then they're
Ed
like-
Harris.
But they're
Well, the fact that they give him so
much
sentience, you know,
emotion and everything else.
like they have memories and
one of my favorite things about that show so far, though, has been any kind of implied rape is only implied. They do that.
Yeah,
they show them going into the barn. They go to a fade black, and they go to the next scene.
Well, I
instead of
imagine it's
showing
because of
any
all the
details.
backlash they got from Game of Thrones with
Yeah.
the Ramsay Sansa stuff.
yeah. I mean,
Because
also
there's a
just-
big uproar
Yeah.
about that.
But it's part of the story.
It's part of the time period too.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, back then it
Yeah.
was, I'll marry you whether you like it or not, and you
Exactly.
will have my kid.
Yeah, and as far as Westworld goes, I mean, it's a virtual reality
Yeah,
sort of
it's-
thing, so anyone could be the biggest fucking prick in the world
Yeah.
just to get out their aggressions or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
um,
sure if I went to something like that and I put out that kind of money, I would probably go evil for 2 weeks.
would you?
I would
Go
take
even-
out all that aggression. That's why I play shooters, so I don't actually go out and shoot people.
So you're not the one in the bell tower.
Yeah,
I'll
exactly.
just play the guy in the bell tower. All right, see, I've thought about that too. Like, I don't know which way I'd go. I think I'd need at least 2 days so I can go good guy
I
one
mean,
day and
I'd
bad guy the
probably,
next.
go on a little adventure, hunt the bandits, whatever, and then I'd probably get tired of it and go full GTA on it.
See, what I'd do is I'd go hunt the bandits, and then whenever we found them, I'd kill the sheriff and join
Well,
the bandits.
Well, now, if I'm going into this and I don't know that they have personalities or they
Yeah.
have this, then yeah, I would totally go evil. But if I knew what I know from watching the show, I'm
Yeah,
like, I
I'd
couldn't
feel
do
kinda
that.
guilty
Yeah, I'd feel
about
pretty
it.
guilty.
Yeah, like I couldn't do any of like the like I couldn't rape somebody in that because they have emotions, even
Yeah.
though they're robots, and I know they don't really feel them. I'd feel bad, and I'd be like, "Get up, you prick!"
Like, come on, man, we took the Viagra half an hour ago.
$45,000. Come on. But
Yeah.
you know, it's a creative idea though, and
Very, yeah.
whenever I found out it was from the same guy who wrote Jurassic Park, that was what really made me decide.
That's
I wanna
what drew
watch
me
it.
into it and made me want to watch it. And then hearing you talk about how good it was, it
Yeah.
made me want to watch it again. Because like I take cues on what to watch from other people, much like when I say something's good.
Yeah.
You generally want to watch it.
Yeah,
Oh, definitely. That's why I watched Luke Cage, because I was afraid that was going to be horrible. And, God, it was such a good show.
It was so good.
And like I said, it's not necessary to go back to Jessica Jones, but if you want to see a little bit extra Luke Cage, check it out.
Well, I dig Luke Cage. I'm only halfway through the season, but I think I like it a lot
really
more than
good.
Daredevil.
Like,
So are we just going to Luke Cage now before we
Well,
before we get too far into it?
I thought about going, but
Before I forget,
Red Dead.
Before I forget,
gotta-
we need to go into Red Dead Redemption 2 because for days Rockstar was teasing our nuts with some pictures and then all of a sudden a trailer came
A trailer with a posse.
Oh, man.
Sunset, man. If that's got that kind of multiplayer, if it's a multiplayer campaign, that would be.
I would love.
Amazing.
I was
That would
gonna
be
I would
suggest,
love
yeah.
to play that style of game with more people.
All right, if it's a multiplayer campaign, at least you and I have to end up getting it at the same time
Yes.
so we can campaign through the entire thing together.
I'll get mine to be announced. I have no idea when I'm
Well,
going to
it's
get
not
a
coming out
Xbox
until
One. So.
next. What was it, October?
No, I might have it.
2017?
I might
So
have. An
I mean,
Xbox
you've got
One by
a
then.
year.
Yeah.
But it's something I'm really excited for. I'm kind of curious if it's going to be a prequel.
Hashtag by Danny and Xbox One
I don't
fans.
know.
Come on.
If I mean, it may.
Raise
It's
some
probably
funds.
set in the same time frame and everything because it was kind of right before, automobiles and everything started coming around.
yeah.
Well, have you seen the map that got released?
No, I haven't seen the map.
Okay, so they leaked a map months ago, and they didn't say what it was for or anything like that. It hit Reddit, and the map shows the same area, except for it's more of the Gulf of Mexico. It's got the same color codes to it, but there's no trains.
Well,
so that's
So
got a lot of
maybe
people
it's
a
speculating
a
a prequel.
like Red Dead Revolver, the old one.
Well, I'm trying to think of the time period. It was the pre-transcontinental railroad.
Yeah, what was it, the industrial era? Is
Yeah,
that what
the
it is?
industrial
I haven't
age
taken a
in the
history
US.
class, and
Yeah, but if you
forever,
look
so.
it up, it was the Gulf of Mexico had trains before Texas, Mexico.
Yeah, but also
Because they were
Well, I
coming
mean-
in from the east into the west.
I mean, it could just be an early version of the
yeah,
map.
and it also could be that too.
That's
so,
true, because there's
you
no
know.
other landmarks on it.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, it could be just showing off how big the map
Yeah,
is going
the
to be.
world.
Because, if you go to
It could
GTA
be.
5, the map on that is actually pretty huge. It actually takes you quite a while with it.
yeah.
And oh my god, that game looks so good, Red Dead, man. Like,
It looked amazing.
so real, man.
Oh,
Like,
it did.
almost
Especially the
too real.
skulls.
I'm like, Jesus, this is.
No, I can't.
This
wait
is gonna
to
fuck with my
immerse
reality,
myself
man.
in that
I'm not
world.
gonna know what's real anymore if I play this game.
That's like I'm hoping that it is kind of a prequel though, because I want to be able to see some of those characters as
Yeah.
young people that were older.
Well, I figure it's
know?
probably gonna be a separate story because that's how
I hope
Rockstar
it is
does.
a separate
Yeah.
story because I like John Marston. He's one of my favorite video game characters of all time. But I don't like prequels.
I don't either because
Yeah.
you already know. Like, well, I already know.
It's like
I do like prequels.
Depends.
If it's done right, I like it. If it's just kind of like a constant nod and toss to the original, then I don't like it.
I don't like
Well-
prequels because you already know there's no backlash for what you do with the character.
Yeah, because you know
they're
you
gonna
know John.
survive no
Like if
matter
you're gonna
what.
do if you're gonna do a Red Dead prequel, you know John is going to live. We already know how his story ends.
Yeah.
But what if it's
but-
not John that's the prequel character?
Well, now that would be kind of cool if you could see a cameo by John. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you're in a rival, gang, or you're in a posse hunting his gang because we hear about the gang being hunted whenever they
Exactly,
disband.
yeah.
So maybe if you see something like that where John may be almost kind of like the villain at this point because he's still a bandit.
Yeah, get a different angle on the take of it. And
Something
that's-
like that, a little
See,
nod.
if a prequel's done like that, I like it. If it's like, okay, if we're playing John Marston as a teenage kid,
Yeah, I'm
learning
not
and
interested.
getting into the
No.
gang, I don't want anything to do with that.
No, and I'm not
Because-
interested in a sequel playing as his son Jack either.
No,
'cause,
I really don't want
yeah.
that.
I would-
I'd rather have a separate story, a different character, not talk about
Yeah.
Marston unless it's like, oh, he died or whatever.
well, I would also like
Yeah,
it for
I agree
for
with
it
that.
to be before Red
Yeah.
Dead because I didn't like that's something that I didn't like about Red Dead Redemption. I thought it was a little too modern,
Yeah.
with the car and there's some electricity. I was like, I would prefer
I prefer
an actual old
West.
yeah.
Yeah.
1860s maybe right after Civil War
Yeah.
or maybe before Civil
And
War. I don't know.
That might be why it's in the Gulf. Maybe it's after the Mexican-American War,
Could be.
Maybe.
or before it even. Maybe that's all
That'd be
Mexico
interesting
territory.
to
Now,
be
are they
able to
actually?
see.
Yeah, are they actually going to be using Texas, or is it just going to be?
It's Louisiana. By the look of it, it's
Yeah.
Ooh, Bayou.
But I mean, are they going to use actual states and not just use a made-up state like they did in Red Dead? What New Austin?
New Austin, so
yeah.
it was basically New Mexico and some of Texas.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it was a combination of New Mexico and Texas, right?
Yeah.
So I was just kind of curious if they're going to use an actual, which they probably won't, because that's kind of Rockstar's thing,
that's their thing.
You know,
they like to create their own stuff by ripping off other people's cities.
Yeah, because you got San Andreas, that's like their
LA.
California, and hell, more than LA, because that map, that is a huge fucking map.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it was.
And that's an old ass game too.
Yeah, especially for its time. That was like a groundbreaking area to explore there.
Yeah, because it was like Los Angeles, San Francisco.
But even Vice City was like that.
Yeah, Vice City was pretty expansive.
Liberty City, I felt like it was a lot bigger. I've revisited that game like in the last couple of years and realized it's a way smaller map than I gave it credit for.
The first, or not the first one, Grand Theft Auto 3.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto 3.
I call that the first one because that's the one that kind of made it the franchise that it is today.
Yeah, that's the one that got everybody to notice what Grand Theft Auto was. But Red Dead Redemption, whenever it comes down to mechanics of that game, like horse riding, for instance,
it was a little bit clunky because the controls were so weird on it for actually trying to turn your horse and everything else. But it was more realistic to what it'd be like to ride a horse.
Right.
And it was really hard to control them sometimes.
But I love the way they made the horse look.
The movement was right. It looked
fluent.
Good.
And once you get used to it, I mean, it's not that bad.
Yeah, once you get used to it, you can ride by and fucking lasso somebody and drag them behind you.
Which was awesome.
Yeah.
Now, regardless of whatever the story is, I hope we get to see like another Undead Nightmare.
Oh,
situation,
absolutely. That has to be
some
DLC for that.
I own the expansion. I still haven't played it. It was like whenever I got Red Dead Redemption, I bought it on the marketplace, and then they did an update, and I had to put in the password for my gamer tag. And it had been so long since I had created that gamer tag, I didn't have any security options.
That's a funny story. I have my gamer tag. I don't have the email that my gamer tag is tied to.
Oh, see, that's what happened to me. Is they were like, well, I can set up all these security measures, but you're gonna have to log into your email address so that you can press OK and it'll take you to the page. And I was like, I don't have that email address anymore. And they said, okay, well, then you're gonna have to create a. And I'd already beaten the game, and I had like all but. The only achievement I didn't have on Red Dead was the what was it called, Dastardly Deed, where you had to leave the woman on the tracks.
Oh yeah.
I didn't have that achievement. It was like the easiest one. So then I go to boot it up. I get halfway through the game on my new gamer tag and was just like, man, I just got through playing this game last week and beat it. And I just haven't picked it up since. I love the game, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
there's tons to do in it. I would like to see more of a free-for-all open-world aspect than a linear storyline to it.
Yeah.
Well, here's
kind
the
of
problem.
adaptive.
Here's the problem with the Red Dead Redemption right now, because I used to play that all the time. But the online is fucked up. Like somebody glitched it, and they haven't been able to fix it.
Really?
When it was working, as soon as you sign in, somebody would gun you down.
Yeah, you could go into the friendly mode though, where you can't shoot other players.
I never played online with it.
I tried to get online for some of those achievements.
It wasn't until like the last year that I've actually wanted to get online with it.
Yeah.
And I mean,
me and Shannon used to play it all the time. We'd play online together. And it's a good experience. Campaign type modes you could do a little bit, but it's nowhere near the detailed story as the main one.
Well, I wish I would have played.
Kind of added.
Wish I would have played more online, because now I'm playing a lot of online stuff, and it's people will be like, invite me. 20 minutes later, there you go, because I had to figure out how to invite you.
Yeah. See, now since it's all glitched up, it's hard to connect with a party, like, or it's even hard to even get into a game. Like, it'll just stay on a loading screen and continue looking for an open session. And, like, me and Shannon would try and play, and she would get in another map that I couldn't get into. And she would invite me, and I would try and get in, but it wouldn't let me in. It's just fucked up.
Are you guys trying this while you're partied up? Because a lot of times, if you're partied, it'll automatically take you to the same game.
Well, we've tried partied, we've tried unpartied. It doesn't. It's fucked. The whole online thing, it's been fucked for several years now.
So how'd they glitch it?
I don't know, but it is the shits now. It is terrible. A lot of times you'll see a lot of the NPCs. Yeah. A lot of them will be missing. It'll be like a ghost town. And shit like that will happen all the time. If you try and play it online, it's fucked up. Like, you could still do some of the missions, like the what's the gulch? I can't remember. It's been a while.
Lead Gulch.
Yeah, like you could do like some of those gang missions.
That's Halo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, whatever it is. And then there's like the fort. You could try and take that back. You could still do those online, but if you could get into a game.
Yeah.
And they never fixed it, and it really bummed me out. So hopefully that won't happen in the next rendition. But I don't know. Undead Nightmare, I recommend. I've done everything. There is.
So, do you play a dead Marston in that?
After you beat the game, like it shows his grave, kind of like at the end of Red Dead or whatever. But then you just see his arm rise up out of it, and then you play a zombie Marsden after you've gone through the story.
Is it do you actually use his voice and like zombified it or anything?
No, it's just random zombie screaming. These are kind of like Evil Dead zombies, in a way, because they can kind of talk.
Yeah.
They're not really that intelligent, but they do speak. They're kind of like the whole evil spirit. And then speaking of Evil Dead, you could actually unlock an outfit for John, and it's Ash.
Oh, no shit.
But it's like the ripped up shirt, you know,
Yeah.
like you'd see in Evil Dead 2. And that's pretty badass. There's so much, because there's Bigfoot.
Yeah, I
Bigfoots.
remember the Bigfoot. They did a reference for that in GTA 5.
Yeah. You could gun all them down, and then you find all these horses in the wild that you got to break, and it's like the 4 horses of the apocalypse that you could ride,
Yeah.
which is pretty badass. And then after you get all them, you could actually go and catch a unicorn, which is kind of girly, but the unicorn's pretty badass as well. So
Can he like horn people with his horn?
no, I think whenever he goes by, he'll make zombies' heads explode, which also the death horse also does. He's basically the same thing as Death, maybe a little faster, but that's about it. I think it's been a while since I played it, but I've played that fucking expansion multiple times because it's a great story too.
Have you played the expansion more than you actually played the game at this point?
It's probably pretty close. I mean, it's such a weird story, and it's pretty well told for an expansion. I mean, it's short, but it's fun, so I would recommend it. I think I might have it if your shit's fucked up. I think I got it on disc, so I'll have to look for it. But if you want to borrow it,
I've got it on disc, and like I'm that kind of gamer that whenever I go to trade in games at GameStop look at my disc and go, oh my god, they'll work. I hardly have any scratches on anything, just because it's literally like comes from my Xbox to the case and goes up on the shelf. My wife that I have now, whenever we first got together, I'd tell her, hey, pick out a DVD or something, because we didn't have cable or any streaming services at the time, and she'd just like go to pull out the game and leave it upside down. And she got introduced to me by me chewing her for leaving DVDs out and games out constantly.
I do the same thing though. I do that. I'll set them out.
I know you're horrible about
I'm
it. It
very
drives
terrible.
me nuts. I remember I used to come over to your house and you'd have a game upside down with like this layer of visible dust on it, and I'd just be like, "How can you do this to your merchandise?" And you'd be like, "I don't care."
It's horrible. Why would you do that?
I'm terrible.
I'm sorry. I've been quiet because I'm looking into a news story about the voice actor strike that's happening tomorrow.
Yes, Justin,
Um,
fill us in with the details on this,
so
please.
today is October the 20th, 2016, and tomorrow, as of an hour ago, SAG-AFTRA. Let me see what that is actually breaking down to. The Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, has been in talks with the video game industry for the past 3 years on trying to get voice actors higher pay, especially for more intense sessions where they have to do a lot of screaming and a lot of stuff that could damage their one thing they need for work, which is their voice, and higher pay for games that sell more copies. And they've been in talks for 3 years, and they haven't come up with anything yet that they can SAG-AFTRA and the video game industry at large can agree on. So they are instructing all the voice actors to go on strike tomorrow, the 21st of October. And this could have a big impact. It could be like the writer's strike of 07 and 08 that kind of killed Heroes,
yeah, it definitely
hurt
killed Heroes
Lost,
pretty much.
and it did a lot of damage to a lot of shows. And a lot of them were canceled. A lot of them never came out. They went straight to reruns until this was over with. And it could affect the industry at large, but we don't know what it's going to cause at this point.
And I hope it doesn't like do what it did with Heroes. Heroes was lightning in a bottle, and they pulled the lid off it, let the lightning out, and never could get it back in.
Fucked up season 2 because they had to cut season 2 in half.
Well, yeah, they got let me see, 13 of the 24 episodes for season 2.
Yeah, something like that. It was
Something like that.
the funny
It
thing
was-
is, I had just gotten into Heroes when that happened.
yeah,
like,
and I was
I binge watched season 1. I'm like, oh, I'm caught up now. Season 2.
I was a
and
big proponent
Writer
of that
Strike,
show.
and I only had like 2 episodes left after that.
Justin introduced me to season 1, and I went and got a tattoo of it, and then Writer's Strike happened.
Yeah,
Next season
yeah,
came
it
out.
was really
But-
bad for that industry.
What games or what publishers at least are going to be affected by this?
I'm trying to find it again. I'll have to go back to the other thing I linked to y'all the other day, but I'm looking at what the update is, and they're talking about what voice actors get paid. They some of them get a reported $100 an hour minimum pay, but they're saying that's incorrect. Rather, the maximum voice session is 4 hours at $825. The minimum per hour rate is $208 an hour.
Wow.
Shit. And
So they're making a lot of money, but they can only do a 4-hour session at a time.
yeah, but the reported
Still,
amount of
that's-
recording hours.
Yeah,
that people put
depending
into
on
games.
what you do and what part of the game you're in, all this other stuff. Thank you. Let me find the AAA title or the companies. Okay, so they released 11 companies, but here's a few of them. So Activision, Blindlight, the Corpse of Discovery Films, so voice actors for the documentaries and stuff like that. Disney character voices, Electronic Arts, Formosa Interactive, Insomniac Games, Interactive Associates, Take-Two Interactive, which is wasn't that Star Citizen?
Take-Two. That sounds familiar. Like it seemed like there was a game that I really liked.
VoiceWorks
Take-Two.
Production and WB Games.
And WB Games is going to be the heavy one.
Yeah.
The new
Well,
Batman game will be
EA,
affected by
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
the Batman games will
Oh,
be affected
fuck.
by that, especially, man, it's just going to affect the industry a lot if they don't sort this shit out.
Well, and that brings up an interesting point. Also, is that going to affect other things besides video games?
Well, I mean,
you mentioned documentaries. Is that going to?
John DiMaggio and Nolan North were mentioned in the article I was just looking at because they do voice actor. John DiMaggio is
he
Marcus
does-
Phoenix in Gears of War.
Yeah, but he also
And,
does cartoons.
Yeah,
like
he does
Bender,
a lot of
you know.
cartoons, and they get more bonuses and everything
Yeah.
else for stuff that they do in
Yeah.
television. And Nolan North he's Nathan Drake and
Deadpool,
fucking
the game.
Deadpool and a bunch of other characters in video games, but he's also doing stuff in television, whereas
Yeah.
some of these other actors are not doing that.
Well, it's like you mentioned Batman. Kevin Conroy does the video
Yeah.
game. Did he do the? Has he stopped doing the video game? I know he didn't do one of them, right? Like
I don't think he did
the Origins.
The Origins one, yeah.
and neither did Mark Hamill.
No, he didn't do that
Because
one
I think
either.
Mark Hamill he did the second
I think
Arkham,
it
and that
was
was supposed to be
I
his
think
last
John
one.
DiMaggio actually did it for the other game.
Did he?
Maybe.
I
Real
don't
quick,
know.
Justin, do you have Batman Origins?
No, I don't play the Batman games. They're not my style of game.
I played the first. Yeah, I played the first one, the second one, and the third one. I think was the last one I played. Was
Yeah.
the Arkham Origins.
I don't know, I might just pick it up now because I'm sure it's like a $10 game used.
Yeah,
But I've
I
been
like
wanting to
them.
play that one because I didn't care for Arkham City that much. But anyway, Writer's Strike. Now, I'm hoping they kind of get to an agreement on this. I think that they need to treat the voice actors for video games like they do cartoons. They give them like royalty rights for like John DiMaggio got a lot of royalties off
that
of
was the thing a
Futurama.
few years ago with GTA 4. The guy who played the main character in that game, he was mad that he didn't get paid more when the game was so successful.
Yeah.
And I think this is actually where this whole thing started, because that was probably that long ago.
And it's these voice actors that create such a good
Well,
story.
yeah, I mean, you have all the creative people and everything else that builds the environments that these characters roam around in. You have all the people that create the characters, do the character design, create the whole shebang. But you have to give that character a voice.
Yeah, you do. And if the character doesn't have that proper delivery of lines,
Yeah.
if it's just some cheap $30 an hour voice actor, you're not going to buy into the character, which means you're not going to buy into the story.
Yeah.
I think they need to go into just, okay, if this game's not successful, you're going to get the minimum pay. But if it is successful, you're going to get royalties off of that
Yeah.
game for, even if it's just a year. You're looking at GTA 5, for instance. Look how much money that game has made.
It actually cost $250 million to make,
Yeah.
and it sold 1 million copies really fucking quick.
Well, yeah, because they always have to get someone who's
Yeah.
kind of famous for
Yeah.
those games,
At $60 a copy.
Yeah.
So $60 million within a week, probably.
Wow.
I'd assume.
Also,
Well, that'd be 60 million copies.
just speaking of John DiMaggio, this
Well, it's
kind of has something to do with it, but not really. There's a great documentary. I think it's on Netflix still. It's called I Know That Voice that he put on.
Yeah.
And it's mostly about cartoons, but it's a kind of a good little insight, into voiceovers and stuff like that. I would recommend watching it.
Well, now what I was saying is, if they're $60 a piece and they sold 1 million copies, $60 million
Yeah.
in a week tops.
Yeah.
So I mean, they've made their money 10 times over.
Yeah, they done made back their money. It was.
And I've watched the cutscenes on YouTube for Trevor because, man, the guy
I
who
told
played
you.
him, that guy. I mean, you did. It took Justin over here, the shaman, to let me know that he had such a great acting cast to it. But man, it was just beautiful. You got my phone still,
I
don't you?
it back to
No.
you.
Oh, it's in my pocket.
Yeah,
Yeah,
genius.
you got it.
But that's a very important part of video games because you have to have a voice to tell these stories. Most of the time, there have been a few games that had no voice acting that turned out to be popular games. Journey's one of them. I never played it, but there was no voice acting in it.
See, I never played Journey.
Well, I know that I guess there was some voice acting, but Shadow of the Colossus, there's
Yeah.
only like one person though that talks, isn't it? Like that.
I
the
think
girl.
so.
I never played it, but it
Shadow
looked
of
like
the
an interesting
Colossus
game.
is amazing. You guys need to go back and play
I've
that
heard
game.
great things. I hear they're
Oh.
working on a movie, or they
Yeah.
have been for a while.
Especially for the time that it came out with the PlayStation 2, the mechanics for it were so awesome. They were fluent.
Yeah.
That was the thing about the game, was like you see it and you're thinking, oh, it's going to be clunky controls, but man, it was more fluent than Assassin's Creed 2 was.
Yeah.
And Assassin's Creed 2 was a fluid game whenever it came to movement. Assassin's Creed 1, not so much.
Yeah. It was rough. I never went back to play that one.
But I hope the voice actors come off a strike quickly.
I do too, because we're getting to the point now where there's going to be a lot of new games coming out, and kind of can't release them if you don't have voice actors in it.
Yeah, there's quite a few. Injustice 2 is on that list.
Oh, man.
Oh, really?
Anything produced after February 17th, I believe it is, 2016.
Dude,
anything in production past that point is not going to get released until it's resolved. Injustice 2 is on that list. Batman, the new Arkham VR game, that's on that list.
Oh man.
So even if it's just a couple of sub characters on there or something, that
Yeah,
I mean,
but I hope it doesn't cause huge delays.
I hope it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we already saw what it did to television when it happened with the writers.
They crushed a lot of shows.
Yeah.
Can someone just hire Michael Winslow? I know he does sound effects. Does he do impressions? Like, he seems like he hasn't done much in a while. You could probably be a
Yeah.
scab, right?
Now,
Just get a bunch of scab voiceovers.
I do feel that if the video game industry wanted to contact us on voice acting, then we will totally scab for them.
Totally, I will.
At least I will.
Because I think
agree.
because personally, I think these voiceover guys are being a bunch of pussies and just need to sack up. Your job is just to sit there and talk.
They're
Well,
getting
yeah,
like
but if
200
you
grand.
yell, you can ruin your voice. I mean,
Look at Chester Benjamin.
Chester Bennington.
We'll get
Thanks.
Lloyd's of London
Linkin
to
Park.
do your Lloyd's of London. You know, that's what a lot of
Well,
wrestlers
yeah.
use. Use them to get your insurance on your voice.
But
Well, a lot of video game
They pay
producers
out huge.
actually provide insurance.
I mean, I
for
have a
yelling.
perfect example. On the Rooster Teeth podcast, any time that they've done recording for the character Church that Bernie Burns plays, and he's had to yell, he comes on and he sounds like shit because he's been yelling, because he blows his voice out every single time.
Well, yeah.
And that's just for, their show they have on YouTube.
But at the same
And
time,
their website. I can't talk right now.
But at the same time, is that not also one of those things that you're getting into this industry, you're going to have to do?
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
That's like
I mean, they've been
wrestler-
doing it for 14 seasons.
I was about to
now,
say, yeah,
so-
it's like a wrestler.
That's
you
like
know.
James Ellsworth. He could be paralyzed tomorrow. He's making $20,000 tops a year.
Shout out to James Ellsworth for
Yeah, James Ellsworth, you rock.
beating AJ Styles twice, man.
Did he really?
Yeah, he beat him. The first couple weeks ago on SmackDown, it was him versus AJ.
Is that why he got a title shot?
Well, yeah, Dean Ambrose was the special guest referee, and so he did a dirty deeds to AJ. Threw Ellsworth on top of him.
That's
1, 2,
great.
3. AJ got disqualified, and that's how Ellsworth beat him for the title match. So he didn't win the title, obviously, but could that mean another title shot in the future since he's beat AJ twice now?
That'd be pretty awesome. But So I feel like with it being part of the industry, you know you're going to be going into
yeah, but there has to be compensation for
$200 an hour.
That's pretty good.
That's
for
pretty
4
good
hours. Yeah,
compensation.
I mean that's pretty nice. But if you can't work after that because you destroyed your voice,
Which is why they provide them insurance in most cases for major game releases.
But
but if you can no longer do that anymore, you have to find a new career.
you just made $200 an hour.
For 4 hours.
Look up the average recording sessions for video games. I bet you that's
their
pretty high.
maximum is 4 hours of recording.
No,
I just read that.
not
to you.
period. That's a
Oh,
day.
just
No, a day.
in general.
Yeah,
like
that's
how
just a
much
day.
they do.
But
for,
if you blow your voice out on the first day because they want you yelling, then you can't do it and you get replaced.
that's true, and I could see that point. But and
Which,
regardless of whatever your
I mean,
opinions are, they got us by the balls. You know,
Yeah.
they got them by the balls.
no, they got
Like,
them by the balls because if they don't do it anymore, they'll have to find other people,
Yeah.
and then those people will want the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, and then plus there's just some voices that people are going to want to hear. You know.
I mean, you lose Kevin Conroy.
Yeah, if you're losing the voice of Batman for a
Yeah.
Batman game, you could probably find somebody to do.
You can probably find somebody that can mimic him, but it's not the
or
same.
do their best Christian
Yeah.
Bale, impression. Bale? I don't know.
Yeah,
if
Christian Bale.
Is that?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I know there's Kristen Bell, the lady. I was like, wait,
she is a very beautiful lady.
I was like, I'm hoping I'm saying the guy because I don't know if she has a good Batman voice or not. So I don't know if she's your pick, but yeah. So I mean, they got him by the balls. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of those guys, and a lot of these voice actors who've been doing it, for years, that are very recognizable, and I feel like that's a lot of money for not a lot of work.
Okay. This is from GameDev.net. It says, for trained professional actors, it will be about 3 hours of recording per finished hour, and then 2 hours of editing per finished hour. So 1 hour of dialogue for an experienced actor or editor would be about 5 hours of work total. So that's just 1 hour of dialogue talk, or screaming, or...
Well, that's the editor.
No, that's the actor. I can read it again for you. Hang on. So, for trained professional actors, it will be about 3 hours or recording per finished hour, then 2 hours of editing. So 2 hours.
3 hours of recording for 1 hour. No, for 1 hour of completed.
Right. So they're
recording.
That is $600 for that 1 3-hour session that one day. One day they made $600.
Yeah. But
so,
if you destroy your voice, you're not going to be able to make that money continuously.
But if you consider the average amount of time it takes to record lines, like Peter Dinklage in Destiny, for instance, he spent over 85 hours recording.
Yeah.
And all he was over narrator dialogue. Now, Peter Dinklage made a shit ton more money than
because he's Peter Dinklage.
Because he's Peter Dinklage. But even at $200 an hour...
Yes, but it's not just for the big guys that make that much. Some of the guys don't make that much money.
Minimum, it said $100 an hour, right?
For the big name actors.
No. Because you read the second article, it said $200 an hour was more accurate for the big name guys.
Yeah, for the big name guys, not for all the guys who are secondary characters or anything like that. This is to benefit everyone.
Well, then what's their price range? Because if I feel like at $200 an hour, plus major games are providing you insurance on your voice in case it gets blown, I feel like they're making a ton of money already. I do feel they should make more money depending on how successful the game is, because it's like any actor would, or any director would, or anything like that. You think Christopher Nolan would have made as much money as he did if Batman was a flop?
No.
But, and I think it's only fair to give them that opportunity. But at $200 an hour, I don't feel sorry for a lot of these guys.
I
don't feel sympathetic toward their need at that end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
At the other end of the spectrum, yes, they need to make royalties or something.
But that's the thing. It's not just for the big guys. It's for the little guys too.
Right. Yeah. And because I'm sure some of the guys that are just doing additional voices, that their characters don't even have names, they're probably not making a whole lot of money.
And they're probably only doing 1 4-hour session per game.
But to be fair, that's probably not their only job, though, either, I wouldn't think. You couldn't
Yeah.
make a living just doing, extras. Like, if you're an extra in a movie, they don't make that much money. They might get, like, 7 cents for a royalty, I mean, I guess you could do something like that for some of these guys.
7 cents per game sale.
Yeah. That's still a pretty good amount of money, though.
If it was a game like, Destiny, it sells hundreds of millions of copies, maybe, but For a game like, for instance, Mad Max, it didn't even break 100 million until well after a year it came out.
It seems like I remember hearing on a documentary or something with Mallrats, because Walt Flanagan, from Comic Book Man, he's just a bit role.
This is going back 5 years ago. Usually, voiceover artists are paid per job. They can make anywhere from $20 to a couple $100 for just an hour of work. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, though, radio and television announcers made an average salary of $40,000 a year in 2011, and actors made roughly $33 an hour.
Yeah.
Which is above average, salary for anyone like us.
Yeah.
But it's not that great.
It's not the industry standard.
It's not. The game's made us $100 million.
The guys who are the Nolan Norths, the other big name actors, yes, they're going to make a lot of money. But the little guys, and to do those jobs, most of the time the companies are using their union jobs.
Yeah.
So you have to be part of SAG-AFTRA to even get the job. And you have to pay dues and everything else to be part of that. Yeah, and you can't work on non-union jobs, or they fine you, or they'll make sure you never work again.
Well, I guess we'll probably be seeing...
Which is the more unfair part of the entire thing.
Yeah, that's a big part of unions, though.
Yeah, but that's you want your actors to make more money. I wonder how much those dues are. Are they hundreds of dollars? Are they thousands?
It depends on what you make.
What you make. So they base it on your success factor.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also, you got to take the success factor of these voice actors into it. If the guy who's just playing the sub character was as good as Nolan North, he'd be playing in the same role.
He'd be that guy. Yeah.
But then again, you also got to think some of these guys are just starting off, and maybe he will be as good as Nolan North.
That's true, but if he blows his voice, he can't be.
Exactly.
But and I'm sure they're not providing the insurance toward those guys.
No, not the little guys. For the big guys, yes.
They should do. They could do a standard of the insurance across the board. Make sure it's a good payout. Give royalties to everybody. But then, where's the money coming in for the next game to get developed?
Yeah,
it's the royalties and the additional higher pay for the big guys. Yeah, that's a big deal for them.
Well, I think what factors in here, voice acting is important. But are you buying that game to listen to someone's voice? Or are you buying it because it looks like it's going to be badass and you want to play it? I understand that it's an important factor in telling a story. Themselves in check, though, too. That's not the reason why people are buying the game.
Well, that's why they're fighting it so hard.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's also a perspective there, because if I'm playing a very story-driven game, and the voice acting is not good, I'll drop off of that game.
Yeah.
Like take a Telltale game, for example.
If the voice acting wasn't top-notch in those games, then wouldn't play it.
Those games are nothing but
story-driven.
It's nothing but a story. And just little mini-games pushing buttons, that's all it is. So something like that, yeah. But your average game, I'm not buying Halo or Call of Duty for voices. You can cut all that out. I don't care.
I still suspect in Call of Duty games and stuff like that, a lot of that's just like, hey, intern, get in here.
Did you see who was going to be the next Call of Duty game because he's popular right now?
No.
Kit Harington.
Really?
I
was wondering if that was him.
That is him. That is him.
Whoever modeled that character to try to look like Kit Harington, it looked like Kit Harington and Kevin Spacey had sex and had a baby.
And Kevin Spacey was in the last one.
Which is ironic because Kevin Spacey was
like that's what it looked like. I kind of see. I didn't see the trailer hearing his voice, so I couldn't tell if that was Kit.
No, it was absolutely him.
Yeah, I think that was a lot. Was he in the last one, or was it the one before Kevin Spacey?
I think it was the one before. It
was Ghost. I think that's the last one I played because I remember Kevin Spacey on there. It's like I didn't buy the last one.
No, I never buy those games because I don't like the multiplayer on them, and they don't really have a good single player campaign most of the time.
I do like the multiplayer, or I did, but after a while, you're just buying the same game over.
Yeah,
I got burnt out.
I got burnt out on them.
Yeah,
and at least. I like Halo because the story has grown since the original one, where it's just, hey, wake up, you're the super soldier, you need to save the day, to a huge overarching storyline.
3 was the last one I played on the Halo
4
series.
was really good because it touched on the idea that AI, it's a lot of AI theory. In the Halo universe, they have a 7-year lifespan. From Halo 3 to Halo 4, it was 8.5 years. Cortana was still around, but she was going rampant, which is basically an AI going crazy. And she was fighting to stay sane so she could help Chief the entire time. And that story was really deep, and it was very sad at the very end because she essentially dies.
Oh,
She
really?
saves his life, and then she says goodbye, and then she dies.
I'm saying Halo is one of those franchises I just never could get into. I tried.
I mean, yeah,
I really
it's
did.
one of those things where it's not for everybody, but I've followed it since the beginning, and
Yeah.
Jen Taylor is who plays Cortana, one of my favorite female voiceover artists.
And
She's fantastic
Your
in
wife's
everything she does.
Yeah, I think she is too. I told you she'd come. Now, you kind of teased us on something a little bit earlier. I want to get away from video games.
Oh yeah, we should.
Oh
move
yeah,
on.
I know.
So-
And for some reason, I'm actually talking about video games for once. I never.
I
do.
know you never jump in.
I'm engaging.
Hey, you're engaged.
Good job. We found a
You
subject.
had it was Logan. You were talking about.
Oh
you had
yeah,
a-
they dropped the trailer.
they dropped the trailer. It looked great.
We just
But you
watched
said
it.
you had a theory over.
Well,
the Reapers?
I mean, there's this group that's chasing him in the trailer. If you haven't watched it, go watch it because it looks really interesting. It kind of drew me in.
We might actually get a good Wolverine.
We
movie.
might actually
Yeah.
get a good Wolverine movie, but that's just the feel from the
Speculation.
trailer. That's
Yeah.
speculation. It might actually be good.
I mean, to be fair, the first Wolverine trailer, I mean, didn't look bad.
It looked pretty good, but then it just
Yeah, no. There's good things. There's parts about every Wolverine movie I like, but
yeah.
overall, they're not good movies. So.
No, they're absolutely not. But I was saying that I think maybe the guys chasing him and X-23 is who I believe the little kid is.
Yeah.
Could possibly be the Reavers, which is a group of cyborgs or modified humans who are wanting revenge against the X-Men, specifically Wolverine, for stuff that's happened in the past.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yeah. See, and I was actually thinking maybe they're following the Wolverine the End storyline, where maybe it's this new set of X-Men.
Yeah.
But they also did mention in the trailer, I think, like there's no more mutants, right?
Yeah.
So,
It's Old Man Logan setting, but it
Yeah.
feels like the end in the trailer.
and yes, I really got like a vibe from the end, and it looked like there was that one scene. Looked like there was another set of claws, like maybe that was his brother,
Yeah.
that had the claws. That would be interesting.
I mean, it looks
I think-
amazing. I can't wait to see more from it.
That's a good way to wrap up the Wolverine series, though, is like to combine the End and Old Man Logan,
Yeah.
because it's obviously got the Old Man Logan setting because
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
no mutants. You got Charles Xavier, which you see in the trailer at the beginning in a hospital bed.
I think he's dead.
Well, I mean,
I
he's
think
in
he's
the
dead, too.
weird whatever Logan's home is in, and he walks
Yeah.
in there and he's moving him around and everything. But yeah, he could definitely be in his head. Just
Have you ever read the End?
I haven't read the end.
Yeah,
I need to
I
read
got
it.
that.
So
I
do
got
I.
that
Yeah.
comic. I'll let you borrow it.
somewhere in here.
It's
got-
actually really good.
You got the trade paperback though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Read that. Don't fuck with my comics. Read his
Yeah.
trade paperback.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's actually a really good comic, and like you'll see the parallels there with the
Yeah.
Xavier stuff, because in the end, you don't know how Xavier dies because
No.
it never explains it.
And you don't hear his voice for a while. You just think
No.
Wolverine's talking to himself.
Yeah.
You think he's senile. But it's Professor X's consciousness in his head.
And it's the scene at the end where he's in the woods on the trailer. He's got the shovel,
Yeah.
and it looks like he's looking over a grave.
Yeah.
At the end of the end, he's in a graveyard. He's in the graveyard telling Xavier goodbye.
Well, yeah, and I think it's pretty much just going to be like the way I feel, because we also see that scene of them in the car, and Professor X is in the back seat behind Logan. Like,
Yeah.
why isn't he sitting next to him?
Yeah, wouldn't it be easier for Logan if just to loaded him up in
Yeah.
the front
Yeah.
seat where there's more room to put a crippled man?
Yeah, because I think he's a ghost in his head, just like in the end.
I have one neg about that trailer. They made a deal with Ram.
Yeah, obviously. Very obviously.
Because
like,
they
product
made
placement.
sure that you
Product
could
placement.
see the Ram logo.
And it's during the most badass scene where
Yeah.
with the vehicle chase where they're all ramping up
yeah,
and being
and
badass
it's just like,
trucks. They're like,
okay.
"That's a
And they
Ram."
make sure you know he's driving a Dodge.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, come on. I'm like, I understand Transformers, but god damn it.
He's-
I'm trying to look up to see if they, on IMDb, see if they had anyone cast as a villain, but they're not really letting anything go here.
Well, that could be both
but
a
there
good
is,
and a
yeah,
bad
there is a
thing.
Reaver there, so I think you are
Oh,
onto something.
shit.
So, actor named Justin Lieber playing Reaver.
Fucking go,
So-
Justin
Nice.
the Shaman. I'm
I
gonna start
think-
calling you that all the time.
The spirit
So-
spoke to me.
Real quick,
Burnt face Reaver.
Justin, please fill in our comrades, our listeners, and our friends about why we are calling you the shaman over something you revealed to Danny momentarily ago.
We were talking about it, and Danny said he knew a guy who's a scientist, and I said, "Well, I'm an ordained priest,
And
I have the title of shaman."
and ironically, he plays a shaman in WoW.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's the podcast. Let's just we call it the scientist and the shaman, and two
Yes,
guys that never
yes.
even met each other before
That's
do a
it.
podcast together.
Oh God! But yeah, a few years back, my now ex, her little brother and his girlfriend were wanting to get married, but they're both very young, and the girl's pregnant, and nobody wanted to do it. So I was like, well, I'll go online. I'll make sure it's legal in Oklahoma for me to do this, which it is, and it still is. I got ordained through, I can't remember which thing that's been around forever. And all I had to do is turn in some paperwork at the courthouse here or wherever the wedding's going to be, and I can legally perform wedding ceremonies. I can do last rites. I can open my own church.
So if anybody
That's
out there
insane.
would like to get married, you can contact the shaman Justin here on Twitter at,
That dead guy.
and he will gladly take a booking if you're paying for the trip there
Yeah.
and all the fares and food and everything else, because he's an excellent shaman.
Well, I don't know
Shaman-
if I want to
the
offer.
shaman of sexy.
I don't know.
Move
if I
over,
wanna
John
offer up my
Morrison.
services. I'm currently 0 and 0. I don't have any failed marriages, but I don't have any marriages. Period.
Yeah, it's kind of a winning record if you
Yeah,
think
it's
about it.
it's a perfect record right now.
Now, guys, there's a couple of things that we didn't get to touch on, but I do. We're getting close to that hour mark.
Well, how much do we have left? I mean,
We've got Spider-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
we could save that for the next one. Or, I mean,
We
we,
can.
you want to go like a few more minutes, or
we
like
can go a
another
few
20?
extra minutes, and we'll touch on this.
Go an
stuff,
hour
like-
20?
Well, I kind of wanted to go ahead and cut it off before the hour
Okay.
mark.
Well,
Yeah,
we can try
fair
to bust
enough.
this out in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Because we had an
or
extra
4
long
minutes.
episode last time at almost an hour.
So, some set photos came out for Spider-Man: Homecoming, and Shocker is going to be in the movie.
Shocker.
Shocker,
Yeah,
which is one of his villains. That's common. I don't.
Sinister Six, I think they could be
yeah,
building
absolutely.
towards,
We
'cause
could be
it's all a
working
bunch of,
towards it.
Yeah. But,
And
yeah.
the original talk was Vulture was going to be in it, but if Shocker's going to be in it as well, then I kind of have some worry because we could have another Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man 2 situation.
Let's not do too many villains at once.
I don't want that to happen again. I trust Marvel not to do it, but maybe it's just kind of a early showing.
Yeah.
And then the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 trailer released. And oh my god, I forgot how much I love that fucking music.
Are you hooked on a feeling?
I'm
Justin?
hooked on a feeling.
Immediately.
I
in my
love
head.
the ending scene to that where
Oh,
they go to. He's
Rock-
like, I really don't want to hug. And he's like,
Yeah. God, look at Dave
Yeah,
Bautista,
I guess
man.
I'm hugging.
It looks like they're giving Batista a little bit more character
Was it
development.
just me or did Chris? What's his name? Kind of
Chris
look a little
Pratt.
bit- Chris Pratt. Did he look a little bit less muscular than he did in the first
He
one?
may have put
Maybe
on a
a
few
little.
pounds.
I mean, he
But
doesn't
like
look fat,
my favorite
but-
thing was the end when Rocket is looking through the hole he just blasted in something, and Baby Groot peeks out
Yes!
the side.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
oh my
look at
god,
Baby
Baby Groot!
And it needs to stay Baby Groot throughout
Oh
the
man,
entire.
it'll be a
yeah.
while before he grows back. Sometimes it takes him a while to
Yeah,
regenerate.
I don't know his extension of his powers, but
I think I'm more excited for Guardians of the Galaxy 2 than I am any comic book movie.
I'm very excited. But
I'm
year.
really excited about that because it was like it was a real gamble for Marvel in it because it's a sci-fi kind
Yeah.
of comedy
and it,
thrill ride.
it's such a good movie.
It worked out so well because it was another one of those big cast movies.
Yeah.
And it was one of those movies for like me. I consider myself a casual comic book fan, but it was one of those movies for me where it was like the comedy was there, the action was there. They got the casting perfect on it. It drew me in because it was something different, something unique to comic
Yeah.
books that I didn't know anything about.
yeah,
Well, it's such an obscure comic. Too.
I don't really know a lot about it. I have.
I had to look up, and
yeah.
I mean, I started buying the new comics they started putting out after they announced it, and they're pretty damn good. But
Oh, they are.
I got
I
some
never-
old comic books, and none of the characters that are in that Guardians are in this comic book,
Yeah.
except for Yondu.
Yeah,
Michael
Yondu,
Roger. He's the
yeah.
only one that's in the comics that I have.
Oh, man.
Gamora may be in there. I can't remember.
He
I
looked
looked
even
them.
more badass than the trailer for
oh
this
yeah,
one. Oh, that was
I
awesome.
can't
I
remember.
can't wait to see it.
I can't remember the whole story, but there is one guy because it's like supposed to be like in the future or whatever, and he's carrying around Captain America's shield. One of the episodes I had, there was like a cult of Punishers, like people dressed up in Punisher outfits. I don't know. I hadn't read them since I was a kid. I kind of want to go over them now that we're talking about Guardians
Yeah,
of the Galaxy.
I'm definitely gonna go back through all my comics and read what I
So-
have.
I don't want to read a single one because I don't want to ruin the movie.
Well,
Like,
I
feel like the movie universe just needs to stay in my head. The movie universe.
yeah.
Right
You
on.
know, like
Yeah.
I kind of just want to always envision that for Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, and that's what it is now in the comics. It's that I mean they've adapted to the movies.
Yeah.
So
See,
this
but they
was
broke-
successful.
To me, that broke a golden rule for me. Like, okay, I've always felt books, comics should be completely separate from video. Because you can't tell the same story in a book that you can
Game
on
of
film.
Thrones.
Well, I mean,
Well, but it's so different.
yeah, and they're not technically.
Past season 1, season 2, halfway through that is where your variances really start hitting.
Yeah.
And that to me, like the books, you have thousands of pages, literally, in Game of Thrones. They can leave out characters because of that. But some of those characters that they left out or change in the show are completely different from what they were in the book because they didn't have the time to
Yeah.
fill there.
Yeah.
You can't just have an inner monologue last for an hour. You have to end up, it can last for 10 pages in a book. You can still find it interesting while they're giving little detail of him shifting through dirt. But in a show, that's not going to work.
Well,
Yeah,
that's the difference, though. In books, you have to read out all that detail of what they're doing and everything else. In television, you're seeing it happen. You
Right.
don't have
Yeah.
that inner monologue of what they're doing or anything
Which is
else.
why I think it should stay separate.
Yeah, but as far as comic books goes, especially Marvel,
It's
The
already
mo-
visual.
yeah, the movies. Well, the movies
Well,
are so
a
much more
comic
popular.
itself is visual.
Yeah, and the movies
that's
are
what I
so
was
much
saying.
more popular than the comics, really. More people go to see movies than they read comics. That's just a fact. And you look at all these records they're breaking, so they're bringing in new fans, so they probably want to adjust them, make it look more like the movie, you know.
I don't understand.
So,
Anyway, guys, we're going to wrap up.
Wrap
We're at
up.
the hour mark. So, Danny, will you take us out today?
please like, share, subscribe. You could find us pretty much anywhere podcasts are found. I don't know why I'm telling you. You already found us. You're listening to us. But, YouTube, Podcast Addict, subscribe to iTunes. Give us a like and review, 5-star rating if you think it's worth it. Thank you for my thank you for my bullet points. You can find us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Cast Closet. You can also follow us individually on Twitter. This guy over here.
Mortal Knight 1, as in the number 1, would be me, Peyton. Justin?
I'm that Deadite guy.
At _Mr. Bad Example _ Such a complicated.
And then you find us on soundcloud.com
There we go.
/theclosetcast.
I don't remember all the things, but I mean, shit, you found us, so whatever.
Well, thanks from the Closet Cast to you. You guys have a great day. Have a safe Halloween out there and stay away from those evil, evil clowns.
Big old titties.